it just also happens, I don't know if we can get this into light, Bruce, but what's really cool about this is it has...
So you see here, Greg, this is a box that obviously needs to be retired. You see how that thing's rotted? I don't know how old this thing is, but it's not probably all that old. Let's put a little water on this box and we can kind of see what happens if you pour a little water on this Endurahive box. All right, well, Greg, we got these boxes unloaded yesterday. Here's some of them right here. What a day that was.
A lot of fun, you know. It's been such a huge blessing. So many folks want to help support Endurahive and help us grow, you included. But it's so great to, you know, to do all that work, all that preparation, and then get it up here, get it to everybody safely, and then see it kind of go on to their trailers, go on to the next chapter of the life of this bee box. It's really cool. A lot of folks, even when they get older in life, they're looking and investing in equipment that's going to last. How neat is it to be able to have a bee box that can go down to the next generation, that they can say, hey, I can remember working bees with Grandpa in this box. There's something special about that with all the things in life. But for me, it's neat to be able to see, to be just a small part of somebody's, a little tiny sentence in a chapter of someone's great book or great novel. So for us with these Endurahive wax dipped equipment, for us it's a beautiful way that we can be a part of the legacy or future of somebody else's operation. But how fun was that yesterday?
It was just the whole community. We had several folks here, and you'll see them in the video. Last night, actually, Toby Reeder sent me a picture of his boxes all stacked up, and he said he'll probably never use anything else. So he was excited about it. He got him out and looked at him, asked him what he thought, and he was pretty impressed with them. So, okay, Greg, we got, first of all, we had this stack over here, which is a whole stack of the same boxes there. There are a total of 70, but I guess you had to free stack some because this was too tall for the trailer if you tried to get 70 on the pallet. So, anyway, just talk briefly about the advantage of Endurahive, and then explain what that one right there in the middle of the darker color one is.
Well, the cool thing about what we do is, you know, my wife Susie, as you know, we raise 7 kids on the farm. When we invest in equipment, things have got to last. And there really wasn't that opportunity on scale where boxes could be produced and they could go out to, hey pup.
That's Harley.
Hey Harley, good to see you. Look at this guy.
Yeah, she's old. She's getting pretty old, but
Harley living her best life out here.
She loves people, yeah.
Look at her.
People.
Well, the thing about, you know, our boxes that I think make them different is I think we've been doing it the longest, producing this at scale, number one. Number two, we saw a huge need to do way better with protecting the investment and these assets as boxes, not just for the use for 3 or 4 or 5 years, but for our beekeeping career, and actually have something that's creating a legacy that's going down to the next generation. That's really important for a lot of reasons. Sustainability, but also making sure that our dollars are going into the right places as we build and grow. What makes what we do different is you've seen a wax dip craze that's happened over the last maybe year or two. And I mean this humbly, but a lot of folks have seen the success of wax dipped, especially with what we've done and gotten these boxes out to the market, and everyone wants to get on board and try to recreate that, and I get that. But here's the difference. We don't do it like anybody else, and we haven't. We don't subscribe to the 300 degrees. We don't subscribe to the paraffin wax. We don't use cheap, inexpensive wax fillers to do this. It is nothing but 100% microcrystalline, and it's a blend of microcrystallines that we specifically formulated and put together to do the best possible job. You'll hear a lot of the buzzwords and a lot of our descriptors that we have put out in videos and in marketing. You'll hear words that we put out there like impregnate, proprietary, things of that nature. What we have here is very unique and special. The idea is these boxes have got to last a really long time, and what we're doing is we're expelling the moisture out of the box, impregnating the fiber of the wood with wax. So these things last for a very, very long time. Not all wax is created equal. Not all wax dipping is created equal. And we far exceed the paraffin microcrystalline blend that you'll see a lot of folks are trying to do. You'll also see that we far exceed any of the time or temperatures. To do that, we are nowhere near those lower standards of 300 degrees or a paraffin micro blend. We specifically formulate this to last as long as possible to make sure that when these boxes go down the road, they're going to last for a very, very long time, that they're done right, and that they are going to help produce and create a legacy for the beekeeper. So that's what it is. No paint, no rot, no hassle. Endurahive, this stuff is built to endure. And then Bruce, we've taken it, we've not only raised, we've not only set the standard for what the highest quality wax dipping should be, we've now raised the bar with this new line.
Pull it out.
And I'm really excited, Bruce, that you've got one of these first boxes. But this is Copper Dip Plus. So we take the best things about Wax Dip, but we also infuse the equipment with copper. And what that does is, yes, it does help protect the wood. It adds another layer of an antifungal component with the box, which is really, really helpful, especially with southern beekeepers. It just also happens, I don't know if we can get this into light, Bruce, but what's really cool about this is it has this rainbow walnut kind of gun stock finish. It is just absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous.
It is.
Has a certain look to it. It has a look that it just belongs, that it's going to have a story too, and I think that that's important. And then, of course, this particular one we had to do right. We had to make sure that we get Bruce's Bees represented on there. Harley, what do you think, Harley? She a big fan? She's just, what's everybody else doing there?
If you're not going to pet me, I'm out of here.
Yeah. But
cool deal,
anyways, it's really important that our time on Earth, the things that we're gifted with, we're stewards of the land, we're stewards of the resources, we've got to make the most of it. All that is important. So our goal here at Endurahive and at Nature's Image Farm is to build stuff, make sure it's built to last, that when folks are investing in it, it's going to be there for the long haul. That's what we're called to do, and that's it's an honor, Bruce, to have so many of our boxes down here in Alabama. Looking forward to maybe getting some of these out in the field and seeing some Bruce's Bees in these. Yeah.
Let's take one of those boxes, one of the standard ones, and we'll go put some water on it and see what happens. Does that sound like a good idea?
Let's do it. What's also cool, Bruce, with the boxes that you got, these are absolutely the best boxes, hands down, on the market. You cannot have a better box than this. Outside of the Endurahive being the best wax dip process on the market, the box that you have here, you didn't just order regular standard bee boxes. You ordered Propola, like the best bee boxes on the market. And what makes these special, there is an enormous amount of research that's been happening for decades and decades. Now the research and the actual equipment have lined up at a really important time in our history as beekeepers. There is so much information now in research that shows how important it is for that propolis envelope to be occurring inside of beehives. The research is unbelievable. But to create an antiviral, antimicrobial environment inside of the colonies, there's also some information I think is going to be coming out that it's going to be absolutely shocking when it comes to some of this stuff, and how beneficial it actually is for the honeybees. I'll say this: if it's so important for honeybees to go gather and collect resin to create a propolis envelope inside of bee trees, that when they leave that bee tree or they abscond, that other bees come back and strip and mine and gather all of that propolis work to take it back to their next new home. If it's that important for the bees to recycle it, that they've got to have it and they put that much time into doing it, that is not by coincidence. There is an intentional creation and design and plan for that I think we're just starting to understand, but the research is clear. It makes a big difference. And so now having boxes that actually mimic the inside of a bee tree to help encourage a propolis environment, that is one mechanical thing that we can do to actually help with the health of the bees, and I'm really pumped up about that.
We're going to put them to the test.
Let's do it.
So you see here, Greg, this is a box that obviously needs to be retired. You see how that thing's rotted? I don't know how old this thing is, but it's not probably all that old. See how it's just rotting, and that's funky. What we're trying to avoid here. Yep. Let's put a little water on this box, and we can kind of see what happens if you pour a little water on this Endurahive box.
Look at that.
See it beading up there? So that's the reason that it's going to be so effective, hopefully, at preventing rot.
Yeah, and long term, the way that this specific wax is, we have from the very beginning have only used our blend of microcrystalline wax. What's really cool about that is southern beekeepers, where boxes are exposed to heat, sun, you're not going to have paraffin oozing out like you do on 50-50 blends with paraffin. It's inside and out. And why is that important too is, like, this is a prime example of the first places that boxes rot are going to be that inside corner. Even though if you have it painted and stacked up, if the boxes if they're not stacked right, if there's something wonky in the box, or just with moisture and condensation on the inside of the hive, these inside corners are the first to rot out. That's the first place everybody tapes up when they stack them up to move them. You don't have that with these boxes. You're never going to have that. This is wax dipped correctly with the right wax. How old is this box, Bruce?
I don't even know. I don't know.
we're not. I don't think we're going to be
I've
around.
been keeping bees for 12 years, and that box it's not anywhere close to that old.
Yeah.
I don't imagine it lasted more than a couple, 3 years out there, maybe 4. But you see, probably the last couple of years I had it out there, it was
goes
already
quick.
starting to rot. So you know, I use them. I've used them historically. The bees have multiple entrances. That one's beyond repair right there.
Yeah, this is a decoration at that point. It's a good example.
We're about to start. My goal is to ultimately replace them with 100% Endurahive boxes.
Yeah.
These standard Endurahive boxes. And then maybe we'll even get some of the copper dip when those are more available.
The wax dipping is really where it's special. Not only have we said this is the best, what's actually interesting now is Randy Oliver just trialed and tested all this. And what he found is that the 50-50 blends of paraffin and microcrystalline, they're not as good. So when independent research is coming out showing everything that we've already been saying and that we have seen in our research too, I think that's an important thing. If you look at the cost, the difference, by the time you spend $12 or $14 for an unassembled box, you have the time, the equipment to assemble it correctly, and then paint it, put it into use, and every 2 years or 3 years bring it out and have to repaint that. Like, what is the actual cost of doing a box like this versus this? A lot of folks will say, well, these boxes they're a little bit more expensive than a regular box. Well, they 100% are. Especially our line of boxes, when it's nothing but microcrystalline, it costs way more to do that kind of wax than the cheaper 50-50 blends. But the difference is this is not going to be a part of this box's storyline in the future. That's important, not just for our sake, but for the next generation's sake. Also being responsible stewards of the land and the resources and assets that we have at our fingertips. That box, that's built to endure.
Well, I'm excited about it, man. So I pulled out an old wax dipped one that we did, probably 3 or 4 years old, at least probably 4 years old.
Yeah.
And let's pour some water on that one, Greg, and see if it still is beating up on the side right there.
So right here is where you start to see the difference. Okay, you can see where it bead and it actually is holding. This one, you watch the water, it doesn't have the same kind of suspension. And what's interesting to look at, and it's not saying that you guys did anything wrong with the way that you dipped it. Box dipping has been going on for a very long time. And no matter how it was done in the past, I'm going to say it was always better than painting, no matter what. Yeah. But there's a lot more research and technology when it comes to higher quality waxes and higher performing ways to actually do that. Yeah. This is what you'll typically find with 50-50 blends over time.
It's still beating up a little. It's still beating up some.
It's still beating, but look at the surface right here.
Yeah, you can tell the difference.
The wax actually, when it gets hot, will actually leach out, especially in these harder areas here. These are the hardest areas to wax dip. There's a different fiber structure and cell orientation into some of these areas here. And what happens with those 50-50 blends or just paraffins, it's a paraffin problem. When you have branched and unbranched hydrocarbons, and what that means is with regular paraffin wax, it's like taking a soccer ball and just rolling it right down a pipe or a culvert. It just rolls right in and out, nothing there to stop it. When those boxes get hot, that wax actually can slip out of that, through capillary action, out of that structure, those cell structures of the wood itself. It comes to the surface, it drains off, it comes out, it leaches off. But with microcrystalline is a branched hydrocarbon, and what that means, imagine that same soccer ball, but it has legs. And so when that soccer ball now goes through that pipe or that culvert, it actually has attachment points that can actually attach to the inside structure of that tube, and now it's more dimensionally stable. When it gets hot, it goes through a thermal expansion and contraction. It's more dimensionally stable because it's branched. That's a big difference, and that's why we don't use paraffins, and we haven't from the very beginning. We wanted to use the highest quality wax to make sure that wax that we are paying for, that we're buying to do our boxes, the wax that we're doing and sending off for people in their boxes, we want the wax to stay in the box that you're paying for and not leach out. That's one of the big differences.
One thing about this box is it's probably, I'm guessing, 4 years old.
Yeah.
And you can see it hasn't really rotted anywhere, but it will eventually. But say if this box lasts even 10 years,
right,
and this box lasts 20, you know, that's a big difference. And so I'm just eager to get them on my colonies, see how they do. And we're about to go put some of them on colonies here in just a minute.
We're not putting that one on a colony.
No, that colony, that is going to be burned or cut up.
I think it's a nice decoration. It's a box of antiquity. It's a box of your story here, Bruce. And I think that's what's most interesting about things, or seeing old tractors and old machine sheds and barns, is seeing the history and trying to understand like what that storyline. So, you know, I wouldn't put it in the burn pile unless you're running out of room. But it's neat to see the story and the history and the evolution of things as you go.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Neat?
That's a good thought. All right, Greg. Well, we've got the boxes delivered. We've talked about them, and I think it's about time to go and get in some bees, don't you?
I cannot wait. I hope to get a little sting. Now, I've heard your bees, or they've calmed way down, but I'm still looking forward to getting a little sting therapy.
We can arrange for that.
We got this. Look at this beautiful sun. I just, like, if Susie ever watches this video, like at home, it's snow and ice and it's cold and mucky and nasty, and out here this is like suntan lotion weather, flip flops.
Sure, today certainly is. It's supposed to be in the mid to upper 60s today, I think. So right now
so
it's
beautiful.
Probably approaching that, so it's beautiful.
I can't wait to go see some of your bees, man, and just crack some lids, smell the smell, hear the sound, maybe get stung once or twice, and maybe we can get a box or two out there.
Yeah, we're gonna put some of these on today because I have some that definitely could use them. We're gonna do a video on that, and y'all can see that video right here. In the meantime, thanks for coming down, Greg.
Oh yeah.
We'll catch y'all next time.
See you guys.